And now, here to entertain you all, because every day he's hustling. Side Hustle Cinema.
Welcome back to the channel. Side Hustle Cinema here. Thanks for clicking on the video. Today we're going to be talking about Chucky episode 6. This one's called Cape Queer. A little play on Cape Fear. They reference it several times during the episode. A little play on Cape Fear. They reference it a bunch of times during the episode. This is my second time shooting the episode. First time I did this one, my microphone was just acting crazy. A lot of noise. That's why I had the delay in getting this video out to you guys. Normally I do it Wednesday morning. But yeah, I had to reshoot that footage, and with work and everything, I couldn't get to it till today. So hope you enjoyed the video. A lot of stuff happened this week, you know, lots of cool stuff. We got 2 more bodies on the old kill count. So let's go ahead and get into it and break this thing down. We already knew that we were getting Andy Barkley and his, you know, foster sister Kyle back, you know, from Child's Play 2. That they were going to be in this episode. And we didn't have to wait too long, because right at the start of the episode, we get Andy and Kyle pulling up to someone's house, posing as census takers, just to get inside and see if there's a possessed doll in there. I don't know how well they pulled off being census takers, but they did manage to get the little girl to bring her doll out. And yeah, you see that it's a good guy doll, and it's actually one that was, you know, in the last Chucky movie. You can tell by like its messed up hand. Well, this Chucky doll sees Andy and it comes to life, but Andy was ready for it. You know, he pulls out this giant pistol and shoots Chucky in the head, freaks the family out, and then Kyle and Andy, you know, both unload their guns into this doll, leaving it in a bloody, mangled mess on the carpet. And then they take off. You see them in the car talking about, you know, is this kid gonna be messed up, traumatized from having Chucky around and what they had to do to Chucky and you know, in their house. But then Andy says, you know, we've been through a lot too, and we turned out okay. And they show some old clips of Kyle and Andy from Child's Play 2. That was cool to see in the episode. Really brings it back, and maybe there's some new people that really didn't know the background story. I'm guessing that's probably who it was for, but I enjoyed seeing it too. They also talk in the car about, you know, how Andy had kept Chucky's head in a vault. You know, the you know, kind of cut up Scarface Chucky, and he had been torturing him over the years, and of course we saw that in the last movie. But Kyle goes on to, you know, reveal that she had actually went ahead and finished killing that doll off. And so now with, you know, their latest kill of this other doll, they're now down to just 2 pieces of Chucky left. And that's the piece that's in Nika and the piece that's in the Tommy doll that's been stalking all the kids there in Hackensack. Speaking of the kids in Hackensack, we take a look at them. They're in the biology class watching a video, and all of a sudden the police come in, you know, Devon's mom and some other police, and they actually arrest, I think her name's Mrs. Fisher, the biology teacher. And the kids, you know, they step up and they try to, you know, say, hey, I don't think she did it, but their reasoning is that a doll, you know, is the killer. So it's not a very good reason. So she gets carted off to jail. And then we jump back over to Tiffany and Nika, who, you know, is possessed by Chucky, hanging out in the old Hackensack Hotel. They're getting ready to check out. And they're trying to pack up that body that they killed, you know, the body of the person they killed last week. I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually kind of finding, you know, Nika and Tiffany a little bit annoying. I enjoyed Tiffany during the movies, but For some reason, I'm just not really digging her during this TV show. Well, Chucky tells her that she needs to chop the body up into smaller pieces to fit it in the suitcase, and she lops off the hand of the victim there, and blood sprays on Nika, and the blood ends up being the thing that brings Nika's soul or whatever to the forefront and pushes Chucky to the back. But of course, every time Nika's present, she ends up, becoming paralyzed. So Tiffany had already left the room, and she didn't see that Chucky had now switched back to Nika. And Nika's going to try to keep that, quiet so that Tiffany doesn't find out. And then we go back to a flashback that's, young Charles Lee Ray and Tiffany, and they're trying to buy a car, off this older guy. And he's asking $1,000 for the car. And they either don't have the money or they were never going to pay him anyway. So they end up just killing the guy and taking the keys, basically stealing the car. I still can't get over how good Nika looks, playing the role of her dad. It's really impressive, that they're able to do this. And they actually pull it off really well. The thing I can't stand, though, is those dubbed voices of Tiffany and Chucky. They just sound horrible, and honestly, they just take me right out of the scene. Kind of can't wait for that to be over. But as they drive off and they're in the car, Charles Lee Ray pulls out a book on voodoo and starts to read it. And pretty much tells Tiffany that it's just a hobby, something that he's looking into. And now we're back in present time, and you see that Junior's parents are talking in the kitchen, and the dad and mom are giving each other a big hug, and the mom's crying, the dad's upset. And basically what had just happened is she just told Junior's dad that she has cancer, and she had been keeping it from him this whole season so far. She decides it's time to tell Junior, so she calls him into the kitchen and goes ahead and tells him that she has cancer and that it's kind of bad. And Junior's really having a tough season here lately. Things just have not been going his way at all. Now we cut back to Tiffany and Nika, and they're playing cards, and Nika is trying to pull it off that she's still Chucky and not give away the fact that she's become Nika again. But little did she know that Tiffany had actually stabbed her in the leg just to see if she would feel it. And of course she didn't feel it because she's paralyzed from the waist down. Nika asks her, what are you going to do with me? She's worried that she's going to be killed. But then Tiffany hits her with sort of a bombshell and says, hey, I actually prefer your company to Chucky. Of course, when her and Chucky are together, they fight constantly, all the time. And she actually prefers the company of Nika. Well, Nika kind of goes along with it, because she's not really in a position to really do anything about it. So Tiffany says, though, that she needs to figure out a way to, keep Chucky from coming back, and then bashes Nika over the head with a frying pan. Next we got Devon, Jake, and Lexi. They're getting together. They're trying to figure out how they can locate, Chucky. And they come up with a plan to try to track down Andy Barkley. Junior comes over to the house to talk to Lexi. He's gonna, tell her about his mom and her cancer and everything. And so while he's pouring his heart out to her, she's easily distracted by the conversations that, Jake and Devon are having and trying to find Andy. She's more concerned about Chucky being on the loose than what Junior's going through. So that was the final straw for Junior. He can't stand that she's been hanging out with these two, and all this talk about Chucky and the doll and everything. And so he breaks up with her and he takes off. Well, Lexi was upset, but she's got bigger things to worry about. And they actually locate Andy Barkley. Of course, Andy and Kyle are stuck in Virginia when they get the call. They ask Andy, how do you find Chucky? And Andy tells him, you don't have to find Chucky. Chucky will find you. And then Kyle tells him how Chucky killed their foster parents and will stop at nothing to, till he gets what he wants. So they tell him to sit tight and that they'll be there as soon as they can. Next we see Tiffany talking to a realtor about buying a house, and it's going to be the house for her and Nika. It happens to be the Charles Lee Ray's old childhood home where his parents were murdered, and that's the house that she's just bought. The realtor says, "Oh, you're already getting mail here," and gives her a giant, big brown box that's the same size as a Good Guy doll. Tiffany puts the doll in the car and opens the trunk, and you see Nika bound and gagged in the trunk, and you kind of get the feeling that she's going to use this doll to get that last piece of Chucky out of Nika and into this doll. She brings Nika inside and puts her in a chair, leaves her, tied up and gagged, and says she has some business to go attend to. Next we see the biology teacher talking to Devon's mom, the detective, and she's kind of laying out her case against the teacher, and to me it seemed very flimsy. Like, I don't even see how they would bring her in. I guess it was just to get the spotlight off of Jake, because up until now the detective had kind of been thinking that it was Jake, and so I think for the story's sake, I think they needed to kind of move off that. Although I still think this biology teacher has something to do, like she's got some deeper meaning in this story, I'm thinking. I don't know what it is though. Next we move to Junior and his mom, and she's outside of her shrink's office, and she's going to go up and talk to her, her therapist, and she's going to tell the therapist, that she told the family about the cancer and her decision that she's not going to take treatment. Well, the therapist was against her not taking treatment, and then after their session was over, Junior's mom's walking around and she runs into Chucky. And it's pretty late in the episode, but this is kill number 1. And let's see how it goes down. They play a song in the background, so unfortunately I have to get rid of the audio for this one. Can't be getting those copyright claims on here. So Chucky shoves a cart towards her and gets her to fall out the window, crashing through this window, landing right on her car where Junior's at, and he's forced to look at her right through the windshield. That's gotta be pretty rough. So put it on the board with another kill for Chucky, and this one is free falling. We're not going to recap the kill count just yet because we are not quite done this week. We still got another one coming up shortly. Who's it going to be? Let's find out. Let's get back into it. So now we're back at Junior's house, and the therapist is talking to Junior and Jake and Junior's dad. Trying to give him some grief counseling over what had just happened to his mom. The dad's super upset. He's kind of getting angry. He ends up walking the therapist out, and Jake approaches Junior and says, "You know what? I don't think your mom committed suicide. I think there was something else going on." Junior absolutely wasn't going to hear it at all. He basically says everything was fine until you got here, and his turn to the dark side just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Next we cut to Devon, and he's watching Cape Fear on his laptop, and his mom comes in to talk to him. They start talking about relationships, and the mom, sort of asks him about Jake, gets him to admit that there's, like a relationship going on there. And she tells him that she's okay with it. Now she thinks he's a good guy, and she's okay with them having a relationship. She even wants to have him over for movie night. And they hug it out, and everything, is all good over there. At least for now. Now it's a little bit later on, and Devon and Jake and Lexi they're all hiding out, waiting for Andy and Kyle to show up so that they can have some backup to go, track down Chucky. And they start reenacting some scenes from Cape Fear where they're shutting the blinds, rigging up all the windows and doors with wire, connecting it to a doll, so that if they see the doll move, they'll know that someone has, opened a door or a window. Lexi goes upstairs. The boys stay down on the first floor, and they're watching over the doll, and they start having a conversation. Devon tells Jake that, that he came out to his mom there, and that she was real supportive, and now believes Jake is a good guy. This makes Jake happy, and he even says, hey, when all this craziness is over, can we go out on a proper date? And Devon agrees, but then we see the doll move. So the boys freak out, and they're looking all over, trying to figure out where Chucky might be, where did he come in. And it turns out that he came down the chimney, and you see like some ashes and little feet print running through him. And then the power shuts off, and you see that Chucky is actually upstairs, and he walks into the room with Lexi, and he kind of gives her an ultimatum. He was going to kill her, but then he sort of asks, hey, I know you hate Jake, why don't you kill Jake and we can team up? Well, she pretends to go for it, but she's not really, going for it. She's just keeping Chucky distracted until the boys get up there and they can execute their plan. So Jake walks into the room. Chucky's got his back turned to him, and he's got a ball bat. He's ready to swing away on old Chucky, but the floor creaks and gives away his location. Chucky turns around, sees that Jake's there, runs by him, slices his leg on the way through, and he runs out the door just to get tased by Devon, and you see him flying down the hallway. This was actually a pretty fun scene. This was kind of cool. So Chucky's recovering from his tasing. Devon's trying to recharge his taser, and Lexi's helping Jake, who just got his leg sliced. Well, Chucky gets up, grabs his knife, and sort of charges toward Devon. Probably could have took him out, but he didn't. He actually passes him by, didn't bother to kill him. So you kind of wonder what was up with that. But then Devon's mom walks in, and she starts calling out for the kids, wondering, hey, what's going on? We don't have power. And little did she know that Chucky was there, and she was about to find out that she was right about this doll the whole time. Something was going on with him. And so Chucky pops out, and we get another body for the kill count.
Devon, are you here?
Mom?
Hey, Devon, watch this.
So Devon's mom, after getting sort of choked, goes down the stairs, ends up breaking her neck, twists her head all the way around. So we got another one for the old kill count. Head on a swivel. That brings the kill count total to 8. 8 humans, that is. We always got Binksy the cat. But just to recap, we had Crispy Devon SAWA. We had Annie, you missed the spot. Oliver, don't mess with my girl. Just a little prick. 50 Shades of Dead. Heads are gonna roll. And this week we had Junior's mom, FALLIN. And we had Devon's mom, Head on a Swivel. Bringing that total for the whole series up to 8. 8 humans, and of course, poor old Binksy the cat. We just got 2 episodes left, and that scene actually ended this week's episode. It's been a great series. I've really enjoyed it quite a bit. It's been fun. It's been entertaining. Surprising. You know, they've killed off some pretty good people that I kind of thought might make it a little further. All these kids are going to end up being orphans, I tell you that. They're all losing parents. So the final 2 episodes should be amazing. I'll definitely be back here to review it again. Next Wednesday morning is when I'll be dropping my review. Sorry this one was late again. Well, anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. If you're unsubscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And as always, stay safe, have fun, keep watching those movies, and we'll see you on the next one.